Yo, what up? I'm Deuce. This is the Washington Commanders draft coverage show. And today it's going to be jam packed. We are going to be talking about offensive tackles. We're going to go deep with the tackles because that is a position of need that most of us in the Commanders community can agree upon. And we're going to go deep. We're going to go maybe close to 10 deep, maybe more. And we're going to cover them. We're going to look at each one and why they fit. What we also going to do is have our first live mock draft. It's going to be a role play. We're going to have Adam Peters. We're going to have Dan Quinn. We're going to have Kliff Kingsbury. And we're going to have defensive coordinator Joe Whitt. Each one of those guys is going to be arguing their side of the best player available. Kliff going to want offense. Joe Whitt is going to want defense. Dan Quinn is probably going to lean defense too. But ultimately, the Adam Peters role, whoever's going to play that role, is going to make the determination on who we draft. We're going to do 3 rounds. We're not going to do no more than 3. First, we're going to do 3 rounds. But I want to talk about one thing. The Commanders community is in shambles over the quarterback position. Once Chicago made that trade to send Justin Fields to the Steelers, there has been a great divide in the community between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. I want to give you a take real quick. George Carmi, a lot of you know him. Him and Doug are actually rebranding, which is great. They've been doing podcasts together for a few months now. So they've decided to do a total rebrand, which I love, to include both of them. I think it's going to be the Big Doug and Carmi show. Can't wait. But he had this comparison. Let me see if I can find it. Of the 2 quarterbacks. And I want you all to kind of think about that. And then we're going to start the show. Let me get to it. Yeah, and it looks like RG3 finally addressed his whole all in for week 1 thing. He said it should have been all in for Korea, which is interesting. All right, so this is what George said. He said Jaden Daniels is Emmanuel Forbes. Drake May is Christian Gonzalez. Forbes had the sexy pick 6s. He's undersized. Gonzalez is the prototype. Not sexy, but does everything right. Squeegums, he said Jaden Daniels is trading back. May is Kyle Hamilton. Think about that. On the other side, we're going to talk some offensive tackles. Welcome to the Red.
That's how we're starting today.
You're about to say Red Zone.
Nah, I was about to say the other name. Welcome to the Commanders Draft Coverage Show. I am Deuce. We got DT in the building. We got Adam, and we got Cal, the Podfather. How you guys doing this evening?
Doing fantastic, man. Did some house hunting this weekend. So good to talk some ball. And we're talking about big men today with offensive tackles. I'm excited.
Yep. How you doing, DT?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Another day. Got some breath in your body, and we can talk some football before the draft comes.
Yes, sir. Adam, how you doing, buddy?
Yes, sir. Good. Doing good.
Look, we're gonna get right into it because we got a packed show today. We don't want to be here 2 hours. Joe Alt, Adam, and Cal, seems to be your number one guy on your board. But before we get into the tackles, why does this team need a tackle, left or right tackle? The importance of the position. Let's start with Adam.
Well, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Washington's going quarterback with that pick. And I think you saw what happened last season, when you try to put a new quarterback in a system and really, throw him out to the wolves with, people will argue that Leonard was serviceable, but I'd argue that. So I think, you've made some moves in the offseason, nothing crazy. Right tackle, I'm not really set on it, but I think they're going to give Wiley an opportunity. But, bringing Lucas back, more of a depth move. So I think that it's also a foregone conclusion that they'll probably be going left tackle within those first couple picks. But I think you have to protect that blind side. Your new quarterback, rookie. You got that center from Dallas. I think that was a great investment. So now you just get that other bookend guy as you just continue to rebuild this line.
Yeah, I kind of agree, especially with left tackle. It's very important because that is the identity of your offensive line. I think Maul, let Maul tell it on Twitter. He said it perfectly where your Leno can't be your best offensive lineman on your football team at left tackle. Like your left tackle has to be able to, if they're not going to be the best, then they have to be serviceable, right? Because the importance of it is not only just because of the blind side, but it's also the person that's going to be matching up against some of the best athletes the NFL has to offer. And so they have to be able to be consistent in that regard, and they have to have some sort of leadership, and the identity of the offensive line really coincides with what happened of the position and everything, but they do a lot along with the left tackle. So getting the identity would be very important. And somebody like Joe Alt, who's 6'9", has the athletic background, older brother is in the hockey NHL, dad was in the NFL, so he knows he's an athletic kid. And you're starting off things right if you are in that position to take Joe Alt. But like Adam said, I think we all know where the indicator is.
Man, look, everything you guys said is definitely 100% identity. It's a premium position in the NFL draft. We've seen elite tackle play for a couple teams, and we know for Washington, we have had a great history of having good left tackles. Chris Samuels and obviously Trent Williams. So it's time to get back to that, the Hogs and stuff like that. And this is a great draft class. A lot of left tackles, a lot of right tackles. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially with what Washington has done with the trading Sam Howell, getting some extra picks in the top 150. And there's a possibility that they could trade up in the first round and get a left tackle and put them on a fifth-year option.
Yep.
What's up, Glenn? Appreciate you for joining us.
What's up, Glenn?
Slim is in the building. What's good, man? Mellotron, thank you for joining us. I'm going to need a trade up to get a tackle. I hope that means trade back into the first and not trade up the number one. What's good? Unc, do me a favor, check your DM on Twitter. Outlaw, what's good, buddy? Unc, no position flex at left tackle. What's up, Mitty and Jeff? Greetings, the gargantuans.
Love that.
All right. Let's get right into Joe Alt. Look, Notre Dame. I don't like the school. I don't really have a clean reason. All I know is Rudy was offsides. So let's talk Joe Alt. Let's put him up on the screen. Let's get it rolling. Let's start with you, Adam. What you love about him?
Just explosive first step. Just allows him to get a jump off the snap. I really like the lateral agility. His combination, athleticism, strength, length, just allow him to quickly redirect pass rushers. It's just two things I really like about him. What I would like to see out of him when you have that cornerstone left tackle, you like to see more of a mean streak. So I think that could come in time. We're not really seeing that right now. He does need some work on his bend, but man, this guy's just a technician. So when it comes to Alt, to me, granted, this is a really good class, but from his talent level to the rest, I think I wouldn't say a significant drop off, but he's way ahead of the curve of these guys. He's pro ready, plug and play. I'd say, a couple of these guys can probably play right away, but I'd feel the most comfortable with, him start at left tackle. But like I said, for Washington, yeah, that's a pipe dream because I think he's going to be going in the top 10.
Go ahead, Kyle, right into it.
No, you're. Adam's absolutely right. The kid being 6'9", 321 pounds, he's athletic. Being at 6'9", probably one of the tallest in the class that you'll have. But also, he checks all the boxes in the sense that he has 34-inch arms, so he doesn't have the short arms, so to speak. 10-inch hands, so it's not like he's limited like Olu Fashanu in that regard, who only has 8.5-inch hands. So that you're looking at somebody who has the build, as all the schematics that you would want out of left tackle. But I also think it's very important when you watch Adam's breakdown. Pay attention to what happens with against Ohio State, number 44 in particular. JT, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. You watch him and you watch Olu face off against him, and you see a drastic difference. And that was a big measuring stick for me. I watched these two games back to back, and Joe Alt just seemed ready to be able to have against the explosion, but also be able to have the quickness to be able to move with an edge rusher of that kind of caliber and speed and quickness. Olu kind of struggled against somebody like that. So with Joe Alt, I think Adam's absolutely right. You could go into it saying this is the most confident left tackle, and that is a really hard thing to do, to have a rookie left tackle go in, start, and not have any hiccups. And I think Joe Alt is that kind of guy. And you watch him going against JT here, and you go against Ohio State like Tommy Eichenberg, he's abusing him there. That's what you're going to see about with Tommy Eichenberg in the NFL. That's the type of level that you're facing against. But with Joe Alt, he's all over the field. He's a monster, and we talk about that identity, DH, and that's exactly what he brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about a guy that has NFL bloodlines, runs within his family, son of a former Pro Bowler, got everything you want in the modern day NFL tackle: strength, the size, the length. He's already definitely ready for the NFL level. Now it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to some rushers that are a little bit bigger, faster, got some more instincts in some bag into their game. But if you want a guy that can instantly impact your offensive line, that is Joe Alt.
And not only that, we also have to consider he ran a 5.0540, being at 6'9", 321 pounds. 10-yard shuttle at 1.73, 28-inch vertical, 9.4 broad jump. He is very explosive and fast for his size. And it's not like I've heard people say with a guy of that size, you worry about the bend, being able to have the leverage battle like we with wrestling. Adam, you know about the leverage battle, right? And Joe Alt does not have a weakness there. He has the athleticism to be able to have that leverage to beat his defenders.
100%. Okay, all right, Melatron. We wanted to make sure, man. Like we've heard some wild stuff in Commander Land. Yep, and just like Rant said, he's all back into the first for left tackle. Appreciate you joining the show, Rant. Do you think we have enough draft capital to move? Yes, we have tons of draft capital to move back into the first. Notre Dame produces good old linemen. That is true, Outlaw. And I'm sorry for talking about your Notre Dame. Outlaw is a Notre Dame fan. But next guy, Tyrese Fuaga. Is that how you pronounce it?
Talise Fuaga.
Yeah. Fuaga. Okay, well, there you go. All right. Adam, let's talk about him. Because he's number 2 on both of you all's board.
Right. Yeah. So this is going to be a right tackle prospect. There has been some chatter that, that there's teams could try him the left tackle, but I think that's a disservice to him. What I really loved about him, what jumped out on me, was how he plays out in space. He becomes a headhunter. When you see offensive tackles that just, look to take people out on the run. That's what I love. Handles the bull rush well, because one thing in the NFL, you're going to have to deal with the counters. You're going to have to deal with all of that. But these guys, these interior guys, outside guys, they're just going to try to bull rush you, as a rookie. So that's something that I think he's ready for. Dedication and leverage. That's something that I saw from his last 2 years. He just got better and better, especially, I saw that kick slide improve. Great things to see. What I did see that was a little concerning was he did struggle with athletic speed rushers. You're going to see that with a lot of, especially the taller tackles. So that's something that I can, think that's going to get cleaned up. He's a little bit of a lunger. That's something that I think it can also get cleaned up, but it can lead to really bad habits. But I think when he puts it all together, this is the kind of guy, power run game, scheme, gap. I think this is a guy that's just versatile, and you can just, line him up a right tackle. You got a guy for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and what I absolutely love about his game is that the violence that he brings to everybody that he faces, and he is looking to beat somebody up. And one of my favorite coaches that I had in high school, who played defensive line in Maryland, said, the reason why I love football is because you can do things on the football field that you would get locked up for on the streets.
That's right.
And Talise Fuaga epitomizes that mentality. He's looking to be able to smother you, throw you into the earth. And when you talk about a change of identity, like something that Washington would need, obviously getting somebody like Talise Fuaga would benefit them greatly. Being able to shift the identity and that what Dan Quinn and what that Joe Whitt defense kind of bring to the table, you'd be bringing this in an offensive mentality just by selecting Talise Fuaga. And yes, he does have shortcomings, but in the long run, this is somebody that you'll feel confident can adjust, progress, and be that leader on the offensive line to set the tone moving forward.
Man, look, power, and more power. Fuaga knows how to make the most of his frame. To your credit, Adam, that's the most thing about him. His athleticism in space is what very impressive. Now, there are some things that he's going to have to work on, but he, just like Joe Alt, he's going to be one of those instant guys that's going to play on day one, and he's going to be your security guard for your quarterback the next 10, 15 years. And I'm excited about him for this process as well because, we talk about left tackle so much. The right tackle also in the NFL market is starting to make a way for itself. I mean, Morgan Moses, he's not, elite tier, but, he's been playing pretty solid and stuff. He just got traded to the Jets. But left tackle is starting to make some money in the NFL as well. So,
you got Tua, to your point, you got Tua in Miami. You got Michael Penix coming out, left-handed quarterback. Yeah. Right tackle is going to be important to your point.
Yeah, most definitely.
My bad.
All right, no, you're good. All right, so
that was a great point. I just love it.
Olu is very high on Cal's board, not so high on Adam's board. But let's look at Olu, and let's start with Cal.
With Olu, you immediately know that he is a mover of people. And yes, but the one thing about Olu is he has small hands, but he doesn't lack in arm length. He has 34-inch arms, so he has the ability to grab on, and he does need a touch-up. Early on in the process, Joe Alt was solidified to number one for me, but with Olu, I felt I'd be comfortable with that selection if you can guarantee a really good offensive line coach that you feel comfortable with him progressing under, because there's times where he lacks in structure with his hips being too high, not having the proper leverage. And you'll see versus Ohio State here in a couple minutes down the thread where he gets abused, and not only abused in the sense of speed, agility, of being able to have to move in a quick manner, but he also gets abused by a bull rush by JT, who we saw Joe Alt actually handle pretty well. And the way that he was able to bull rush him after forcing him off his feet, it really just showed the mind game where Olu was lacking. Here you see the lateral step, so I say that Olu kind of falters in. Here you see him trying to catch his feet. It's almost like he's a stalk. He's just not possible, too top heavy. If you keep going down, there's a little bit more. And I felt bad because people were trying to compare him to Trent Williams. And my whole point was here is, I've never seen Trent Williams do something like this, and look, this is a very good pass rush by JT, but you have to imagine these type of pass rushers are what you're going to be facing in the NFL every Sunday. And you have to be prepared for it. And somebody like Olu is going to need help in hand usage, control, and also being able to have a good foundation with his lower leg support. This is the play that really sold it for me by JT. Look at this bull rush. Boom, all the way back immediately. And that's one of the issues with Olu, is just getting him structurally sound and set for the NFL. But he has all the tools for it except for the hand side.
Adam?
Yeah, Kyle has reiterated the hand size issue, and what that does is, it's a lack of counters. He just tries to rely on his, brute strength, which he's not going to be able to do that on the next level. Well, you could see that on that clip. Again, he's another one that's out in space. That's one thing about this offensive tackle class. These guys can get out in space, looked really good as pullers on the second levels. Yeah. I like his hand placement. Like I said, I'd like to see more violent hands, more counters, but he does have an effective punch to redirect rushers. But his timing off the snap at times, that's something that jumps out at me that's a concern. Just needs to show better anticipation, especially with stunts. He can be knocked off balance sometimes when he overcommits, but his power leverage, I like it, but it can be offset, with his pad level. So these are things that can be worked down. But again, I do think he's another one you can plug in at left tackle next 10 to 15 years. Definitely not the ceiling with Alt. And as far as my list goes, it's not that I don't rank him high. It's just I've spent more time, went back and watched more on the other guys, and I just like Mims and the kid from Washington a little more at this point. But no, I think if you get him, you're straight for a left tackle for the future.
Yeah, this is a weird process for Olu. Consistently he was the number one guy pre-draft during the season, but then as you get into this process, his name has not really popped up as much as the other tackles. Could be prospectography or it could be the simple fact that once you go back to the tape in 2023, you'll see that Joe Alt and Felice Fuaga had a better 2023 than Olu did, and comparing to his 2022 was way better. There's definitely some things you see, including the Ohio State games, some of the big games like Michigan, some of the Big Ten competitions he played, a little bit of refinement, but still a talented young guy that you can have in your offensive line, and he get the right coaching and is he coachable? We say that a lot in the group chats and stuff about some of these players that we talk about in the draft every single day. Are they coachable? Are they able to follow through what the coaches are telling them? And Felice Olu, I believe he's coachable, and I think he'll get a chance to be starting somewhere, having an opportunity.
Definitely would argue that going to Penn State, that would say that most likely are. Everyone that comes through there is probably a well coached. I mean, even Michael had his concerns coming out of Penn State, and you could see obviously that he was able to get grasp with Coach Quinn, right?
Yeah, Metatron. Like I don't. I think Cosme is solidified at right guard. I think that's where he's going to be best. I think that's where he's going to excel, and he's going to reach his highest ceiling is at right guard. I mean, even with him coming out of the previous year, he was kind of, you could tell he was kind of upset coming out of 2022 that they had him at right tackle, right guard, right tackle, on and off. But last year they kept him there to let him sit there. So I think that's best for him to where he can go. Go ahead, Kyle.
And I also think that a lot of it has to do with the unknown, where you don't want to go into is saying that Cosme can move to left tackle, and what if it doesn't work right? Like, what works well with what you have. There's no reason to go about changing it with how much turnover you do have at the moment, just to create another problem at left tackle, and you overdo guard.
How are you guys with the short arms argument for tackle before we get into Mims?
It's an issue. It's an issue. It's something that more than any position I think matters. I think edge rusher and tackle that probably matters more than most. But again, it comes down to technique. Comes back to technique. If they're a solid technician, I think they can work around it. But we've seen guys that were really solid technicians in college get tried at left tackle, doesn't work. Go to right tackle, doesn't work. End up being interior. So really, for the most part, from what I've been seeing over the last 15, 20 years, is those shorter arm tackles eventually end up playing for the most part of guard. So it is a big factor.
Yeah, Skoronski is one of the recent names that comes to mind in that regard, and that's what I was saying back then. It's funny that everyone keeps calling him a tackle, but this guy's a guard at the next level. I'm sorry to break it to you, and I do agree with you because the long arms help you out so much in the NFL because of how fast and how powerful some of these guys are. You have to be able to have some sort of level of control. How many times have we been on X or Twitter complaining about a hold of a tackle or whatever on our edge rushers, right? And there's a reason for that. You got to have the length to be able to do it, and so it can help you out a little bit. And if you don't have that length to be able to hold on and have control, a lot of times this guy's going to be running around you, and you're going to be getting flagged a lot more than not.
All right, let's get into Mims. We can start with you, Adam.
Yeah, tremendous overall size and length. That's what I love about him. For the most part, a right tackle, I do believe he does have the upside to play left tackle. So I think if you have a dedicated offensive line coach, offensive coach, I think that your fallback is he can play right tackle, but you can definitely consider him. You're drafting him in the top 25. I think you can definitely consider him at left tackle. But like I said, right tackle is most likely. Powerful hands, which really help him at setting the edge. I love the mean streak. I'll mention that when I'm talking. It's not always important for every position, but I just feel with offensive linemen, it's important to have that mean streak, especially with the run game. This guy's another, headhunter type. He really handles twists and stunts well, which that's something he's going to see frequently, especially early on in the NFL. Decent bend and flexibility for his size, and really an effective kick slide. limited starting experience at Georgia. So it's one of these guys that I think last year was the full 23 was the only full year he had. He started every game. Again, another one has a habit of lunging, maintaining effective balance. Struggled at times when he faced athletic pass rushers, but I mentioned before that, that's pretty common with a lot of these prospects, but particularly rushers who possess multiple counter moves. His pass pro will need refinement. He's an automatic, dominant in the run blocker. Again, he can get out in space. Not as good as
great hands right here.
But really good reps you'll see on some of these clips that I put up.
These are some great hands right here, Adam Cal.
What's that, McClunky?
No, you're talking about the hands of Mims?
Yeah. Oh, you see his hands?
Great punch.
Yeah, that was great hands.
Everything Adam says about Amarius Mims is correct. The kid is incredible. Just the size that he has, the length, 6'8", 340 pounds. His wingspan, 36 and an eighth.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Hands are 11 and a quarter. So those measurables by themselves put him over the top, which is really putting him into limelight. But the kid is extremely raw. When you watch his kick step, like Adam talked about, you can tell he's working on it, but he's not fully comfortable with it yet. But you could tell, right? There's some situations where he falls asleep and stays inside with the drive man on a stunt play, and the wide rusher is able to get around. It's not because it's like he's not used to it. It's like he's not looking over there. And so he's extremely raw in just the aspect of the overall game of what an offensive tackle is expected to do. But the kid is explosive. He's quick on his feet, which is incredible for 6'8", 340, by the way. Strong as an ox, but it's just how long do you have to mold him into what he can be? Right. And I think the big question for what Sensei said earlier about how coachable are you, I'm not worried about Penn State, but I would worry about somebody who has a lack of experience. Like Olu has played a crap ton of football. Right. Mims, on the other hand, not so much, and that's where you kind of are concerned about it a little bit, but obviously the measurables and what he's shown on tape really shows out to you, but you just have to make sure you go in with the right game plan for him. And this kid he has like a Hall of Fame level skill set. I will say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, first time I ever seen this kid was the semifinal when Ohio State played Georgia at the Peach Bowl. And you could just see the tremendous talent. You see the traits on film and stuff, but obviously is the experience. And also this year he played about, if I'm not mistaken, 6 games, then had the ankle surgery, then came back for the final 3, but had to get a little bit more cleanup. But kid has the traits for a day one starter. It's just the experience that is probably going to be scary for a lot of people. And when you want a guy to play at those bookend positions, you prefer a guy with some, experience going against some edge rushers, the power rushers and stuff. And you're coming to the NFL, you're going to see a variety of rushers at the National Football League. But this guy, he's starting to become one of my favorite tackles in the draft. I would take the risk on him. I mean, this dude, he is just freakishly large, has the traits, and I feel like if he's on your team, he has all pro potential.
Yeah, and I'll say this is the range that we're starting to get at. That when you're talking about if Washington's trading back into the first round, this would be one of the guys that's available, because I feel that anywhere in that 20 to 30 range, that's where you're going to see some of the tackles that starting with Mims that we're talking about. The other ones we talked about they're going to be gone, but I think starting with Mims and the guys we go on, these are the guys that will be in play for Washington.
Here's another guy that I think that'll be there. See, baby, is Tyler Guyton, who's getting a lot of praise these last few weeks. So let's get right into this guy. Cal, what do you like about Tyler Guyton?
I like Tyler Guyton a lot. I've watched him last season when I was watching Anton Harrison at Oklahoma. He has the measurables that you could say right away that could start at right tackle in the NFL. 6'8", 322 pounds, 34 and an eighth inch arms, 10 and a quarter hands. But he is a big bear. He's not going to be a Talise Fuaga. You're not going to see him destroying dudes to the ground. He's much more of a big, gentle bear, but when he gets his grasp on you, he has strong hands, a strong base. You don't see him getting knocked off of center. What you see here is him being able to take a spin move from a defender, continue moving his feet laterally, and keeping that defender in between him, keeping himself in between him and the defender and the quarterback. And that's exactly what you want as an offensive lineman. When in the run game, he gets to the second level very easy. It's not panicked. On pulls, he isn't a mauler in the sense of like Olu and Joe Alt and Talise when he gets outside and being able to get his hands on somebody, but he gets his job done. So I think he's a big bear, somebody you could feel really good about and sliding in on your offensive line day one. And it's a kind of guy where if you're adding somebody like the Chiefs or somebody like that's somebody where you could feel good where you're starting with, you don't have to be really concerned about. You do have to watch him, just make sure that he's progressing and all, but it's not like this is somebody that isn't going to be consistent and stable for you for the next couple years.
Hey, Poster King, your wife not a subscriber, is she? Oh man,
no,
go ahead,
don't
Adam.
say
What you
that.
like about Guyton, Adam?
Yeah, I'm doing my write up on him actually as we speak. What I liked about him, versatile guy, left tackle, right tackle, seen time in guard, so basically every position besides center. Good athlete, really quick feet, but Kyle pretty much covered a lot. More of a finesse kind of guy on the outside. So I think that he doesn't have that ideal mean streak that you really look for in a lot of tackles, but that's okay. I really like his size. I like his length. I like these Oklahoma tackles, honestly, in the past couple of years in guards. But yeah, Kyle nailed it with him. But it's his feet and just his athletic ability that really, stands out with me.
Man, look, me and Kyle, we were on the Anton Harrison train last year, and
Me too.
you see Tyler Guyton on this offensive line. You call him Dancing Bear, I call him Easy Mover. He has length.
I like that.
He has the length. He has the athleticism. Again, I do agree with your take about him. He's not really a mauler, but he's definitely a guy that you could consider probably, maybe that late first, if somebody is really ready to take the risk, get him on a 5th-year contract as well, or early day 2. But this guy is athletic. It's something about Oklahoma tackles, man. It's something about Oklahoma offensive lineman tackles. You see them, how good it is. Maybe you might need to draft another guy. Maybe that's it. We might need to draft a guy. I don't know, guys. I might have to switch up today. Let me be Kingsbury.
It's all the pass sets, bro. It's all the pass sets that you see, and they're just very athletic, big guys down there, and they know how to play the position, and they know what to do. That's what I was saying. Like, it's funny because if Andrew Wiley can play for the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure that Guyton could slide in there and do what they need to do.
All right, let's talk about some guys. Run down some names. Corey Fashanu. Towards the end of the year, his name was up there being top 3 along with Olu and Fuaga. So where is he now, DT?
I still think he's being considered right now, still that late first round, still day 2. A lot of people have talked about early in the process, because of his size and stuff, being a guard. I don't think so. I think this guy could go out there and play left tackle for you as well. You've seen him play with your boy Michael Penix out there, and also Rosen on the other side on the right tackle. This dude is just a mauler. He's one of those guys that you need to have a security guard as well. Watch out for that late 20s and stuff. I think someone's going to be very intrigued by him, and he had a great combine as well.
Yeah, he did, and I think that he can play left tackle for you. And if Washington is eyeing Troy Fashanu in the end of the first round, I feel like this is somebody
everybody's name.
you would feel really good about going up and getting. But that's the big question: is he going to get there? Because the thing with him is he ran the fastest 40. He ran one of the fastest 10-yard splits with a 1.71, a 32.5-inch vertical, and then a 9.5 broad jump, which is what better of all of the guys here, which showing you that he is athletic, and it shows off on film. But on top of him imagine him being an athletic guy, you would imagine finesse like Tyler Guyton. He's also a tough son of a bitch. One of my favorite replays of him is it's a toss play to the left. He gets his helmet knocked off, and he's still blocking. He's hitting hard too, not caring. And that's the kind of guy I want at my left tackle. So when you watch him, he almost looks like a tight end because he has his jersey tucked up, but you can see how thin he is. But he is going and handling big, fast dudes and doing it well, and has that mean streak, throwing guys into the earth. But he does lack in his pass sets. He's kind of raw in the sense where he does in his back pedal. You'll see him take those shallow steps, which gets him beat around the edge. You do see him have a propensity to get beat inside with inside moves, a lot like Olu Fashanu. We talked and highlighted that a little bit earlier. But for the most part, if you're looking for somebody that you can feel good about as a leader to step in as a just change of identity. I think Troy Fontenot fits that bill for you.
Adam.
Yeah, no, what jumps out at me when I watch this tape is flexibility. Just hit the way he keeps his pad level, which is it's really impressive. He's definitely ahead in his pass blocking, his pass sets. I think he's still a work in progress as far as run block on the outside, but he played guard out of necessity for Washington. He's a left tackle. I think if teams want to consider him there, if it fails, but I don't think that there's going to be any team that drafts him, especially in the first round, to play him a guard. I'm higher on him than most. I think that he'll be gone in that top 25 range. But like I mentioned, the issues with the run blocking. So again, that'll drop him a little farther down the 20s. But his versatility kick inside, I think that'll keep that stock right where it is. His hand placement, that's another thing that stuck out at me.
I forgot that. Dang it.
Well, that's why we're here together, so we can play off each other.
That's right.
Powerful hands, powerful punch, but again, the hand placement counters. He's just susceptible to to getting out leveraged. His kick slide, that's something that definitely needs some work, but it wasn't a detriment. But again, you got to look at the division he was in. It wasn't in the SEC. Wasn't against some of the powerhouse defensive ends. So he's got some work to do. As far as plug and play, you're going to take your lumps with him at left tackle right away. But no, I think if again we're talking about Washington, yeah, they'd be wise to move up to get a guy like this, because I think you play him at left tackle and you're good to go.
And Poster King, he did not do a bench at the combine. It wasn't listed on the NFL website when I looked before we started recording.
I don't think he did, no.
All right. There are a lot of there are tons of tackles you guys have, and we got Burn Duke, Patrick Paul. Let's talk about Patrick Paul real quick. We'll let Adam take Patrick Paul. What do you like about him other than his brother is on the team?
Yeah, nothing like his brother at all. Although his brother did play right tackle and moved inside the NFL, but no. Again, more of a finesse guy. I like him on the outside. Not big mean streak. I've watched a couple games on him so far. Like his length, like his his ability to be on the outside as a blindside protector. But again, another one in the run game still needs work. Still a work in progress. He's pretty good at pulling. I can see a lot of attributes there where he can get better. As far as waist bender, decent there. So he's decent in a lot of departments. These are the kind of things that could keep him on that fringe, that end of that first round. A lot of people have him second, third, which I see him higher than that. But to me, he's more that early second round. Washington stays put. He probably would be on the board when they pick in the second round. But yeah, I really like him. But again, work in progress. You could put him a left tackle starting right away. But yeah, you're definitely going to take some lumps as well.
Christian Jones. Guy that we don't hear too much about.
That is my boy. So I had him listed as the 9th overall tackle, and I wanted to split them up. But he is specifically a right tackle for Texas. And this kid jumped out to me. And the reason why I like him a lot, when he went against somebody like Darius Robinson, who's considered a late first round, early second, possibly late second prospect, he did well against him. He wasn't like seeing ghosts or anything like that, like you saw versus Georgia and Darius Robinson, where he was able to inflict a lot of pain on that offensive line. Going against Texas, that wasn't the same thing. Christian Jones and company held their own. This kid is a very strong young man. I didn't write down his measurables, and I'm pissed that I didn't now. But I have a film thread on Twitter. If you can go to it, Deuce, and go type in Christian Jones next to my name, you might be able to pull it up for me. But the kid is base structurally. When you watch him, I want you to – what I was seeing is somebody who is basically doing everything you'd want to see out of a right tackle in a pro style, and he doesn't have a sort of strength in height, strength or outlets, having good, quick, smooth feet, but also you don't see this guy getting his butt whooped at all. And I think at the next level, if you're talking about somebody that you could plug in the 3rd to 4th round and feel good at right tackle, if you want to push Wiley in as competing for left guard, I think somebody like Christian Jones, you'd feel really damn good about and sliding in there and knowing that he's going to compete and possibly win it. This is the one time I forgot to take away the
It's okay.
But watch it, dude. Just absolute mean. And the funny thing about him is he has that mean streak, along with Kieran Amajagaji, who I think is an honorable mention in this regard at left tackle from Yale. Doesn't have a lot of tape, but somebody who's really good. Christian Jones here. You see him going against this Alabama. Yeah. And this is what's his face? Oh my gosh, what's his name? The edge rusher linebacker. Adam, what's his name?
Braswell.
Yeah, but that's
That's
Braswell right there. And you see him dominating with that hand. That's a pro rep. You
Yeah.
see the rip come through from Braswell, and you see Christian Jones taking his hand underneath of it and just riding him out. No diddy. And you see him being able to do that away from him there, and that works really well for Christian Jones. And he also has that mean streak to him where you saw in that first slide. But it's the pass reps that really just jumps out at you with Christian Jones. Look at the feet and watch the feet constantly moving, but also using that upper body to be able to move this guy. And that's Dallas Turner that he's working with right there. Go to the next one.
Wow.
This is a good one.
Get your weight up.
So here, this is a dive for a touchdown here, and you're going to see Jones here completely escort that guy out of the play. I mean, that's the one cog in the defensive game plan, and don't worry, he's going to escort him out of the building. That's your bouncer. Just get him out the way. See you later. You don't have to worry about this kid in the run game. You don't have to worry about him in the pass game. In my personal opinion, he's gone against the competition. He has the length. He has the size. He has the weight. The only issue is you have to work on him with is the hand control consistently when on the move. That when he's in his pass sets, he's comfortable. When it's very close quarters, he's comfortable. When you start getting to the outside, that's when things start getting a little iffy. But it's one of those things where if you go in with a good game plan for a prospect to say, this is what we're going to work on, I think this is a kid as an upside that could be starting at right tackle for you for many years.
Let's talk about another guy we don't hear much about. Adam has Garrett Greenfield. Tell us about this guy.
Yeah, this is another guy that I wrote about from the FCS level. Again, this is a guy that played left tackle in college, although he played right tackle as well. I have him strictly projected on the right tackle
man.
in the NFL. Again, he's a mauler. I could even see him go inside, but they formed one of the most solid left tackle, right tackle tandems in FCS. I just like what he does when he gets out in space. I'm just trying to pull up some of my notes on here. So I think he's the sixth tackle I've done out of 21 scatter reports so far.
We got something here.
Violent hands. That's what I liked about him. Impressive burst off the snap. A mauler in the run game, mean streak. That's something I said I covet. Really good size. Overall build is really good for an offensive lineman. Again, the negatives: inconsistent footwork, can be susceptible to stunts. We're going to talk about the level of competition, but we've seen over the last couple of years, guys coming from the FCS level, mainly interior guys that really have some success. So I take a little stock on that. He does have a habit of lunging. Not the most athletic, but he does rely heavily on technique. So that's the kind of guy that I look to really, shape the offensive line. So, we're looking, day 3 guy, most likely he ends up in the, that 5th round range. But again, this is the kind of guy that come into camp, get his lumps in year 2, year 3, can be a starting tackle for you in the future. Like this could be a guy they invest late that ends up taking for Wiley. So, he definitely stood out to me, really good size. Decent athleticism, not the best athleticism, but again, that's why I just pencil him as right tackle.
And I'm pretty sure we can all agree that I think tackle is going to be highly coveted, obviously,
by everybody.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Anybody that we left out? I know it was one person I want to ask you guys about.
Jordan Morgan we didn't highlight.
Yeah, there he is. Yep, Jordan Morgan.
Morgan's a big one, and especially like that's a guy in that top end of the 2nd round. People have talked about arm length. He's just under 33 inches, so it's not crazy short or anything. I keep hearing about moving him inside. Now he's a natural left tackle. I like what he does. I like his bend. Good bend. Good change of direction, impressive when people attack him. That's something that I see when he handles all-out blitzes. He really handles it well, doesn't panic. Yep. Really handles that bull rush successfully. That's something that really jumped out. I think that's a guy that's going to be there in that early 2nd round. But yeah, I think he's getting a lot of slack, and people talking about inside. I think he's a left tackle. Will take his lumps, but solid left tackle.
Yeah, and as somebody who was a center guard defensive tackle in high school, I really find enjoyment in seeing an offensive line being able to take another grown man and being able to twist his body another direction. And that's what Jordan Morgan is incredibly good at. And Adam highlighted it. And I highlighted my thread of Jordan Morgan. There's this one play where he has to chip the inside and there's an incoming blitzer on the outside. And he quick as lightning switches back outside and blocks that guy, which allows the run game to go behind him. And so it's just that quick twitch that, like Adam said, the bend. He very flexible for a big man, and he had an injury, I think, 2 years ago.
I was going to say 2022 torn ACL, so that's definitely something to get concerned to.
And so last year, it's incredible because you could say he's still coming back from that. Like, let's imagine what Chase Young looked like a year after his ACL, right? And imagine what Jordan Morgan out there starting at left tackle and some of the stuff he was able to do. Well, imagine if what he's able to do next season, 1 year, 2 years apart from that. So that's where you feel really good about Jordan Morgan. But I feel like that's one of those where you feel probably comfortable at 36. And you don't really honestly are panicking at any point, but it is good to have a good backup or competition going in. And I think that would be really smart with somebody like Patrick Paul, Jordan Morgan. I think that's where Cornelius Lucas comes into the picture here a little bit.
Yep.
Man, look, if you want to see a game of Jordan Morgan when he was a pit bull versus another pit bull, just pull up the UCLA game when he went against Fashanu, who was considered a top 10, top 15 pass rusher. Just absolutely talented player. The injury a couple years ago was a big reason why people are kind of skeptical a little bit, but he has the experience, he has the footwork, got play strength to play on the line of scrimmage, and definitely somebody to consider late first round and at pick 36.
And one name that we didn't bring up tonight, but I think that I watched this weekend was J.C. Latham from Alabama. I kind of figured that he would be, just another Alabama product. But watching him, he's very structurally sound. You feel comfortable with him at right tackle, being 6'6", 342 pounds. The guy is a mammoth, 35 and an eighth arms, 11-inch hands, just a huge human being. Another one of those guys that this tackle class is incredible because the top of it's very top heavy. And so it's incredible to see how it's going to shape out because we've talked about there could be possibly 8 of these guys. Like we've supplied 10 prospect here. There could be 8 in the first round. And so one of these guys can fall to you. And if they do, if you're Washington, I feel like you would have to move up for that opportunity to get that starter.
I think you do. I don't think you let go of Leno and Lucas is your only free agent signing at tackle and hope someone falls. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but I would be shocked. You have 3 third rounds and 2 second rounds to move up to like I said, that 25 range. I think you can do it with the second or third and maybe even a late round, but I'd be shocked if they don't do it because it could be the difference between more of a developmental guy or a guy that you could start from week 1.
Yeah, most definitely. And one more guy I want to add. This is Panay Sewell's cousin. That is Kingsley Sewell from BYU. This guy is just big. You talking about plenty of power from that position. He has that. The biggest thing for him, I think, will be, it's kind of like the upside and then his floor. Like he can be a very dominant player when he gets the opportunity, or he could be that guy that has struggles with a lot of things that's going to happen in the NFL. But I think this guy, the physical traits are there. I think he's also going to be considered for Washington around that time. I've seen a couple of people have mocked him around 36 as well.
Yeah, I think if he went to like somewhere like San Francisco, I think that his future is incredibly bright. Like if you put him behind a very good, stable left tackle, like as a developmental piece, I think that kid has the sky's the limit.
Agree.
All right, so it's time for the mock draft. We're going to come right back. We have debuting, which a couple of weeks ago. We're also going to have the new show a week before and after the draft. But the actual debut of the show is going to be closer to the regular season Trenches, which is the NFC East podcast, which is going to be 4 teams. It's going to be 4 hosts, all division. Each team from the division, just talking smack, talking trash every single week. That's going to be happening in September. I'm going to show you this promotion. The other side of this, we're going to have our live 3-round mock draft. All righty. We are now in the war room. We have head coach Dan Quinn, which is going to be played by Adam. We have offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury, which is going to be played by Kyle. We have defensive coordinator Joe Whitt, which is going to be played by DT. Now, every pick, each person is going to want to pick their respective side best player available. So, for defense, every pick, DT is going to make an argument for the best player available for defense, and offense for Kliff. Adam, I don't know what you're going to do. You're the head coach, so you can play both sides. But who will be making the final decision? The final decision will be coming from Adam Peters, who going to be played by Unc. Is going to play Adam Peters for us today. Unc, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Mr. Cleveland?
Already ain't gonna be a good draft. I ain't gonna watch it.
Oh, take it easy,
Rescind my contract right now. I'll go back to Dallas.
All right, let's get into it, guys. I'm gonna pull this up here. The draft up here, the draft simulator. We're going 3 rounds. We're gonna do 3. We have a lot of picks in the 3 rounds, so most teams is like a 7 round for how many picks that we have in the first 3 rounds. But before we go, what do you want your offense to look like? Kliff, aka Kyle.
Forgot my name there for a minute. What I want my offense to be able to do, I want my offense to be able to have multiple areas of attack. I want to be able to attack the long game. I want to be able to attack the middle of the field. I want to be able to attack through the run. That either is through the run game or through the quarterback. I think that is incredibly important to do because every defense has a weakness on every given play, and you have to be able to exploit that weakness. If you're able to provide a quarterback who doesn't have deficiencies in vision, who doesn't have deficiencies in breakdown, in scheme, and being able to put the ball where you need it to in these sort of long situations, kind of like how I had with Arizona and Kyler Murray, the kind of smaller quarterback. I think going this time around, I think I want to go with a different mindset here. I want to be able to put this team in the best set of success in the long term, even after I leave here. I want to make sure this football team is set up for success with what I want to do at quarterback.
Joe Whitt, what do you want your defense to look like?
You know, we see a lot of the NFL. They have their certain way, but I'm more of being positionless. I want my guys to be aggressive. I want them to be able to confuse. No more of letting the quarterbacks, wherever you're a backup or an elite guy, dictate what my defense is going to do. We're going to control the game. We're going to dictate it, and we're going to come after you. I know the talent of the defensive line is there, but I got a couple of young guys that I need to bring the best out of them. I know Emmanuel Forbes, he gets interceptions in college. He was a playmaker. I'm going to make him a playmaker. Quan Martin, I'm going to make him a playmaker. So we're going to have guys not thinking. We're just going to have them going out there and play ball. And we're going to be very aggressive and very exotic with a lot of our coverages and rush lanes, what we're going to do. We're going to be all about creating havoc in the NFL and in the NFC East.
Dan, what do you want your team to look like? What do you want the identity of your team?
Well, again, like Whitt said, the team is going to have
like Whitt said. I just love this.
It's going to have a defensive mentality to begin with. It's going to be the offense is going to be a work in progress, round and pound. But the defense, I'm going to see some 3-4 alignments. We're going to see wide nines. We're going to just really mix it up. But we're going to have heavy linebackers in this. Not going to know where they're coming from. You're going to have Jeremy Chin close to the line. 3 linebacker sets, but nothing like that Buffalo nickel that Washington fans were used to last year. You're going to see a lot more aggressive takes, zones disguised as man. There's just going to be a lot of confusion and a lot of havoc. So I'll definitely piggyback off of that.
All right, Adam, you heard your coordinators, you heard your head coach. You got your glasses on. You ready to rock and roll?
Let's go.
So one quick question.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so DT and the defense I'm sorry, Whitt and and DQ were kind of on the same page there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But DT said positionless. So help me understand positionless versus position flex for the people in the street.
Well, position flex is more about having versatility, about playing more than one spot. But a lot of times when you have guys that are more ideal to one role and they you want them to be able to play multiple spots, but you want them to play a ideal spot. I think that was missing in Washington for a little bit. You had guys kind of play multiple spots, but not being comfortable. And for to order to have a positionless guy, you need to have a guy who is able to be able to rush the passer and able to play in coverage and do signals. And that's a guy like Frankie Lulu I brought him in to do. He has the ability to rush the passer and also has the ability to play the run. And he can shore up a little bit of coverage, but he can do just good enough. That is a positionless player. And obviously, you see with Micah Parsons what I had done in Dallas. He was a linebacker, but he had a insane talent when he was at Penn State that we saw and decided, let this guy loose. These guys, a pit bull, he needs to go after the quarterback. Let the pit bull get out of the quarterback, man. And I think for Frankie Louvu, guys like Jeremy Chin, who also had a great rookie year, but hasn't really been able to find his niche after that, you got to let them play ball and let them not think so much. So I'm going to let these guys fly and be positionless. Don't worry about what you're playing. Just when I have this play call, you play what you're supposed to play.
Fast and free.
Fast and free.
Okay. And then Kliff, for your offense, you kind of narrowed it down to some of the basics from the beginning as you're getting everybody acclimated because you think they'll be young and new. But when you talk about offensive line, some have specialties in the pass game, some have specialties in the run game. I want to know, what are you looking for in those areas as we begin to look at players in the draft?
First and foremost, with offensive line, we want a physical, violent, aggressive mentality. We want to be able to inflict our will upon the defense on any given play. But also, more importantly, the pass pro is incredibly important. That violence cannot be sacrificed for hand control and other things like that, and having a proper base. So I will say this, that pass pro is more important than run blocking, in my personal opinion, with my personal offense, because we want to be able to force the defense to be able to respect the run game in order for that to be effective. And so to be able to do that, we have to be able to get the ball out of our hands. And like we saw last season with Washington, they really struggled to be able to protect the quarterback and keep him upright and protected so he was comfortable with getting the ball out of his hands, which will go to my second issue that we'll talk once we get to the second overall pick. But we will see a difference in offense this year with getting the ball out of our hands quickly and then using the running game to be able to branch off of that.
Okay. All right. Commish, all right. I think we good.
Let's get into the draft. All right. I didn't even ask. Would anybody want to trade up?
No.
No argument to trade up? Okay.
Nope.
Look at Unk's face. The screen stuck.
So he's good now.
All right, there you go. All right. The needs for the Commanders: quarterback, tight end, offensive line, edge, defensive back. You all can see the best BPA, best player available over here on the right. Let's start with Joe Whitt. Make your argument.
So look, Washington, obviously we traded 2 defensive edge rushers in the last year with Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Obviously Chase Young didn't live up to the expectations we had, but when you're looking at this group, I know it's very rich. But when I look at a guy like Dallas Turner, he just makes my day when I make my coffee. This guy he's able to play both sides of the ball. Very aggressive, played under Nick Saban. He has the NFL/Alabama pedigree. And you got guys like Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne who've been poking my ear for the past couple of weeks about Dallas Turner. And I said, I've been watching Dallas Turner. So I know it's pretty rich and stuff, but I'm just gonna slide my card right in to Mr. Peter to just say, Dallas Turner, I feel like he's the best player right there defensively.
Kliff?
Yeah, I will say, hold on, Joe, just a little bit. Let me make you look at what happened with Houston last season. And let me talk to Adam real quick, because Adam, I'm going to make your job really easy. Along with you, Joe, But like we saw with D'Amico Ryans as defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, they went out and they got their guy in early on as CJ Stroud. Give me that piece. If you give me that piece, I'll give some light onto this franchise, some explosion offensively. And I don't think that we need to wait in order to see that explosion. There's a reason why we brought Marcus Mariota here and Zach Ertz. There's a reason why we have Terry McLaurin and we have Jahan Dotson, very smart, unique individuals themselves. We have the ability to be explosive. And so I beg you, Adam, and I don't think it should be that difficult, but let me help you make this decision. So this organization prolonging me, even if I'm gone, that you'll be put in the best success possible and that your name will look really good. So let me help you, Adam.
All right, Dan, you heard both of the arguments. And what is your direction?
I think, we're talking about however you want to say it, rebuild, recalibrate, but either one, you got to start with the quarterback. The trade of Sam Howell, I think, was pretty much the deciding factor in which way they were going to the first round. Signing Marcus Mariota more was just about having, an extra coach on the field. So I think, not only are you going to go quarterback, that quarterback's going to play early on. So, I'm all on board with Kyle, get a quarterback, make it happen. If you're talking about Mayor Daniels, whatever philosophy, that Kliff is with, I'm backing him.
All right, Adam, you heard Whitt. Whitt wants to go edge and Dallas Turner specifically. If you notice, he said his name. Kyle wants to go quarterback. No name was given. And Dan wants to go quarterback. No name was given. So the ball is in your court.
Can I say which quarterback I would prefer right now?
Yeah, I got two. That's a part of my two questions. So I got two questions. One, and I'm looking to get this from the head coach so that we're in alignment. What quarterback do you want as a head coach to tie your name to for the next 5 years? You can consult with your OC,
Adam.
You can consult with your OC, but I'm asking the head coach.
I want to say Jaden Daniels because I think when you're building a new passing game offense, you bring in May can do a lot of great things, but I think he's going to see a lot of stacked boxes. I think with Daniels, you're going to get a little more respect early on with his experience and, ability to, run the ball. So for me, the accuracy, the nice deep ball, but, the threat as a runner, give me Jaden Daniels.
Kliff, if you want to go ahead and try to convince your head coach, do it now.
Yeah, I might need to go buy a 12-pack of beer because I need to convince my guy over here to go with Drake May. 6'4", 223 pounds. We've seen recent pictures of Jaden Daniels bulking up. My issue with Jaden Daniels bulking up is that speed, is that agility, acceleration going to be able to be sustainable in the NFL? Obviously. But what I've learned from Arizona is that size cannot be replicated. Size cannot be generated. It cannot be put on. And the fact is that Drake May gives you the highest floor possible for this franchise. With Sam Howell, you saw the limitations, not being able to see over the line of scrimmage, not having that kind of vision. Everybody that talks to this kid in Drake May, that's not his concern. You know the long-term ramifications here, and that's okay. But you're talking about the long-term vision of this football team. Jaden Daniels offers you everything on the ground. I understand that. But if you're talking about getting the ball out of the hands of your playmakers, Drake May is that guy. There's one clip in particular I want you to go back and look. I forget which team it was against, but he gets rushed from his right side. He fades back like Kobe, and he throws a dime, a corner route.
Kobe in his argument?
All the way down as a corner route. He throws a dime backwards as he's falling backwards, lobs in stride with the DB on his wide receiver's back, in stride for a touchdown. That is the sort of accuracy, the deep ball, the arm strength that you see from some of the best elite quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm not saying Jaden Daniels cannot get to that level. But my point being is we saw what happened with Sam Howell last season, and Drake May has shown a propensity to be able to get the ball out of his hands in stressful situations and under attack. And in the long term, that's the best set of success for your football team. I would love to go with Drake May, but if you gave me Jaden Daniels, Adam, I wouldn't be upset.
Okay. DQ, what's your final call on which quarterback, if we chose quarterback, which one you want to take?
Jaden Daniels at 2.
Okay. Deuce, Mr. Commissioner, I have one other. That was my first question. My second question is, what are all the trade scenarios on the table?
Damn, I wasn't expecting that question.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. Let me see. It says there are 9 trade proposals.
Say Arizona and Minnesota are probably the top 2.
Mm.
Minnesota is going to give you the most. Arizona is going to give you a good amount just to move back a couple spots. So,
oh yeah, I'm only able to get one because I didn't sign in. So,
Okay.
and
All right.
the one was Tennessee to move back to 7.
No, that's too far. That's too far. I would consider it if it was in the top 5, moving back, because I don't mind either one of those quarterbacks. But since we would have to go back to 7 to gain additional assets, I want to take the pick of Jaden Daniels at number 2.
Okay.
All righty. Jaden Daniels. I'll sign in next time. We'll run this back closer to the draft. There we go. Rank 22. Commander select Jaden Daniels.
It's all right. We'll work with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And let's do no trades for this one so we can move a little faster.
Okay. Because I was like, if we could drop back to 5, 4, or 5, I'm all in and pick whoever left.
I know Dan Quinn and Kyle, they pretty important. But you ain't asked Joe Whitt what his opinion on the doggone quarterback is. I mean, my God, I got to practice against the Bama Timers every day.
Whitt, run and hit, positionless. I got all the stuff that you laid out. Quarterback was not one of them. So rest easy and trust your teammates right here. Let's go. What's the next pick?
Well, look at Trail. GM should have traded up to 1. Oh man.
I don't even know if PFF allows you to do that if you're signed in.
What, trade up to 1?
Yeah.
No, you got to do it before you hit start draft.
So look, while we got this time, because it's going through, right? Picks right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got the top of the second. Whit, make your argument.
What's the interest in the next pick? What positions, DT? What position are you interested in for the next pick? Are you still looking at edge? And we'll go to the players when we get there.
From based on what we talked about on a couple of meetings we had so far, we're expecting a couple of edges to come off the board. Maybe a Darius Robinson might be there, but I think you still have a couple of solid corners that I like, that I talked to with a couple of defensive back coaches from college. Also, like right there, Tyler Nubin. He is a spectacular safety. And then you have Peyton Wilson. Now, the conversation will be, my contingency plan would be, Bobby Wagner. He's here for a year. And you have the heir apparent to a Bobby Wagner to go with possibly Jamie Davis if, we pick up the 5th-year option and talk about some contract extension, and you have Frankie Louvu. But you're talking about a guy that I can make positionless. Peyton Wilson, he's going to be positionless. I'm going to have this guy playing safety if I have to.
All right, so your positions are linebacker, edge, and DB, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that the order that you want to look at them in when we get there?
Got you.
Okay, so linebacker is your number 1. All right, Kliff, what is your needs for this next pick?
Well, we just got our quarterback, and we know that he is a mobile quarterback that does like to run a lot, and he's going to do it a lot, and he's going to need a lot of help on the offensive line and being able to shift and being able to have that flexibility to do so. So I think Jordan Morgan here at tackle would be the perfect selection for this football team, and getting some help on the offensive line at the tackle position so we can move forward with the quarterback position. Because, look, the defenders, they got a lot of signings of free agency, okay? They got helped out a heck of a whole lot, Adam. My offense, we need it. We have some more holes here. We need some help. We got Whitt. We got Dan Quinn, the defensive-minded head coach. They got the top-heavy stuff, all right? Give me the top end of the first couple rounds, and let's get me a tackle in here so we can get going and moving forward. If not tackle, I could also go with wide receiver. Adding Ladd McConkey here with losing Curtis Samuel would not be a bad move to add to combo with the young quarterback, similar to what the Texans did last season with my boy Tank and CJ Stroud.
Okay. So you see Ladd McConkey as the top of the second round guy?
I think that that's the funny thing because he could go to a team that you would say it has a quarterback in place, and you would feel really comfortable with him being added there, like LA, for example. You would say,
Right.
shoe in, he's going to do well. But with Washington, you have to remember that we're adding a quarterback in here. And so we were going to be able to get the ball out of our hands. And I have the offense to be able to get those outlets. And I have a lot of familiarity with the smaller wide receivers like Rondale Moore. Going back with, oh my goodness, I can't remember his name now. Hollywood Brown as well.
Right.
I have a lot of experience with those type of guys, and Ladd McConkey I could get a lot of production out of.
Okay. All right. So DQ, you see we got edge, we got linebacker and safety on defense. We got O-line and wide receiver on offense. What are your thoughts on the thought process of your coordinators?
I think when you get to this point, you have, Peyton Wilson on the board. He's really tempting. Same with TJ Tampa, the cornerback out of Iowa State. Because those are two big positions in need, regardless of who Washington signed. Right as of now, Frankie Louvu is the only one that's going to probably be here in 2025. Jamin Davis, I don't see them extending that fifth-year option. So they're going to have to look at that position. But again, like our coach said, our offensive coordinator said here, we got to protect that quarterback, got to protect that investment. You try to wait to that next pick at 40, I think you're looking at, another tier. So, although, again, Peyton Wilson is my favorite linebacker in this draft, I think you're a little better off after free agency, but you're not better off at tackle. Tackle is your second biggest need after quarterback. So, yeah, Jordan Morgan's on the board. I'm with the coordinator, Jordan Morgan, on this pick.
And I'd be willing to add, Adam, that I do my own little research, and I love myself some TJ Tampa and Peyton Wilson. But there are other linebackers and corners that could fit Whitt's defense. I'm just saying, not to speak for you, Whit, just saying.
100%. No, I want to ask this question, DQ. Our next pick is at 40. Do you think any of these three guys are available at 40?
Yeah, I Peyton Wilson likely comes off the board probably in the next two picks, but I think, like I said, you go with Morgan. There's a really good chance that TJ Tampa is on the board at 40. If not, there's a couple corners and linebackers that will fit that at that number 42. So I'm pretty confident in this.
In the simulators that I've done.
1 second. Adam, what are your thoughts on that, Whitt? I want to hear from Whitt on this since we're talking defense.
Yeah, I think the high possibility of Wilson coming off will be probably the next couple of picks. We know with intel that the Kenneth Murray did not work out with the Chargers, and maybe Carolina ahead of us right now. They could probably take a guy local. He don't have to drive that far, but I think TJ Tampa is definitely someone that can still be on the board around 40.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, I cut you off. Kliff, go ahead and chime in.
So I was just saying the average DP down there is kind of showing you where these guys are. And TJ Tampa and the other PFN is going off in like late first, early second. There's a good chance he could be there at 40, and along with Jordan Morgan. So I just want to add that in there.
Okay. All right.
So I think we have enough. I think, Adam, you have enough information for the next two picks. So we'll go straight to you with both picks, and then we'll get to the third round.
Okay. With the 36 pick, I want to go O-line. So Jordan Morgan is the pick from my consensus. And at 40, I want to go if Wilson is not there, Wilson is first, right? Whitt, we want Wilson first. Yeah. If he's there, if he's not, can we get TJ Tampa? We want to look at those two guys. If not,
I knew he was gonna go, dude. I knew it.
Yeah, Tampa went to Carolina.
I think you have to go Peyton Wilson.
Peyton Wilson, it is.
That's better value right there. That's better value.
What's wrong? Hold on.
It's too late.
What you pointing at, Mr. Cleveland?
I was telling you, do right by me.
I got your guy right in Wilson. Your guy.
I'm satisfied.
Okay. All right.
I got what I needed.
That was a smart decision, boys.
You see, this is what, in my opinion, is probably happening with the brain trust now. I don't think this is the way they've done it in the past, but I think this is really the way that they're doing it now. So I love the way this is going. We're next on the board at
67.
At 67?
Yep.
All right, so we got quarterback, we got O-line, we got linebacker. I'm assuming what is our next? Are we just going best available at 67, or do we have a specific need that we want to address?
I think tight end is a significant need.
Okay.
A significant need, because I think, again, you bring a rookie quarterback in. It's great to have McLaurin, Dotson. It's also good to look at a receiver in this area, but I think that you need that safety blanket. Ertz, he's more in that tight end room to really, help the offense, teach the offense to the young guys. What behind him you have Bates, Hodges, Rodgers coming off an injury. So to me, tight end and cornerback are your two biggest needs. So you're going to look on what's the top tight end and what's the top cornerback on the board right now.
Okay. So for cornerback, which cornerback you interested in? Can we see the quarterback list? Mr. Commissioner, can we see the cornerback list?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be DJ James is probably going to be the highest at this point, which that's a little bit of a reach.
So you got Kyrie Jackson, a local guy from here, played at Alabama, played at Oregon. Max Melton, corner from Rutgers. Ronaldo Green. You watched the LSU tape. You saw what he did against Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas the first week of the season. Those are a couple of names I see. I know right there, Chris Abrams-Drain, he's more of a guy you would put in the slot.
Right.
But I think right now the slot is pretty good. I need more of an outside guy. So if I had to choose, I know it's probably very rich right here based on the offensive talent we see. I'm looking at a guy like Kyrie Jackson and Max Milton.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have the 78th. We have the 70. You have the 78th pick also.
Right. So what are those two listed? Aren't they? Is that I can't see 62 and 86?
67 and 80.
67 and 80. So the likelihood that one of those guys is going to be available at 78 seems to be high, right? And so let's look at the offense. Let's look at the tight end list, Mr. Commissioner.
A lot of guys up here. He a large gap.
I tell you what, neither one of your coordinators are higher on Jatavion Sanders. I tell you that. So I know that. Well, I know your head coach. Ain't none of them high on Jatavion Sanders.
So I'm gonna pull a pivot right here so we can look at the wide receiver position.
Ooh. That's why you got hired.
Scroll down.
Any of those guys look interesting to you?
Yes.
Go back to the top. I'm wondering if can Johnny Wilson be converted into a tight end?
He has. They have talked about him. He was a transfer from Arizona State. I wrote about him. Just under 6'7". You can do that. But what Washington needs is that strong outside guy, 50-50 guy. And I would definitely consider taking him at this spot.
Kingsbury, I wanted to know your opinion.
For here, if I were to make my input on the selection, I think wide receiver would be smart. I wouldn't be against Ben Sinnott here in this situation.
Me too.
Just adding the stable tight end for your young quarterback to grow with in Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you want to add firepower here, I don't think you could walk away without Malachi Corley at wide receiver. You're talking about speed, and you see Joe Whitt's reaction. Joe Whitt would be happy because he doesn't have to face him on another Sunday in the speed that he offers. And yes, you'd love to have height to our offense.
Show me the wide receivers again, Mr. Commish.
But if we add Malachi Corley in here, we're adding in an explosive style of offense that could really benefit a quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who already offers his own speed and arm strength, and adding with Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, that would be a very pivotal, great weapon to have.
What is Malachi Corley's size?
5'11", I think 196, if I'm not mistaken, Adam.
Yeah.
But he's a yak terror, dude. With the ball in his hands, he is when you watch watch him and the ball with his hand in his hands, and he's all over the field. He's hard to take care of. And he's one of those guys that not many people are talking about, but the right ones are talking about.
Right.
And you said Benson not, but it looks like he's going to be available.
See, I don't like these rankings. I have Sonata. He's my number 2 tight end, and I have him as a top 65. So you could definitely roll the dice here. But when you look at that corner from Oregon, he's probably not going to be off. He's probably going to be off the board on the next pick. If you can get that corner from Oregon and then Ben Sonata the next pick, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I will say it on PFN, Adam. It's flip-flopped. Ben Sonata is considered like the top 70 pick, and Kyrie Jackson is considered around the 136.
Yeah. So it's just flipped how they look at them.
Yeah.
But for the board that we have,
right.
Kyrie Jackson is the guy in my opinion. Dan Quinn, is that what you want right now?
Yeah, it's close between Melton and Jackson for me, but I think you pull the trigger on Jackson and you get the tight end on that next pick.
Okay, real quick, size and speed for Jackson and Melton. What do they look like?
Jackson's about 6'4", 212, 15 pounds. A large guy. Playing.
Okay, that's good. That's good for me.
That's a Dan Quinn kind of corner right there.
Exactly, dude.
That's what Dan Quinn is going for. So that's good with me. You have
St. Juice now. You have everyone. St. Juice, Forbes. Everyone's over 6'2". Yeah, that definitely looks like a Quinn backfield right there.
He's a Legion of Boom looking type of guy, so I'm all with it. So, Commish, we going with Kyrie Jackson at this position. Want to thank my team for their collaboration.
All right, we should have an understanding of the 78th pick, so we can move along.
Jatavion went to the Chargers. That makes sense.
All right, so 78. Take me back. What are we looking for? We just took we wanted to come back. Dan Quinn, we wanted to come back for the tight end if he's there, so not right.
Yeah, you're gonna look at the tight end. You look at wide receiver maybe on the next pick. I think you're gonna lose 2 to 3 of those tight ends in the next pick. So, in my opinion, I know people are high on Sanders. A lot of boards have Sanders high. Again, a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. He really just never took it to the next level. Sanat did. Sanat showed not only is he tight end, he's an excellent H-back fullback. Chris Cooley kind of mold, more athletic, bigger. So, yeah, I love Ben Sanat in the fit for Washington.
Defensive coordinator, Whitt, are you okay with Sanat?
Yeah, I'm okay. Edge rusher is probably still going to be a need, but I trust the veterans we signed on the team to at least carry somewhat this year. Also, I like what I've seen from a guy like KJ Henry and Andre Jones, who also has some versatility in his game. So we're going to mess around a little bit with these defensive ends I have right now.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna let them be positionless on them defensive ends, and we're gonna go get some players that fit. Offensive coordinator, I got you. I'm coming to you. Go ahead.
I'd be willing to argue that adding somebody like Malachi Corley in here would be a better benefit to us, and waiting to be able to draft a tight end in later rounds in the 4th or 5th, a guy like Dallin Halker, who offers you the size and the structure to be able to offer you just as a depth projectile sort of thing. With Ben Sanat, I don't honestly feel that we could get the best production possible out of this offense with him. So I think that right now adding Malachi Corley and that speed is an asset that a lot of teams in the NFL covet, and that's something that you can't get off trees. And so I think that we need to take advantage of it at this point and help our offense be able to be explosive as possible.
Okay, yeah. DQ, where are you on the tight end versus the wide receiver debate?
I agree about the tight ends because although I love Ben Sanat, not only you have Holker, you have Theo Johnson out of Penn State, which I believe ran the fastest time of all the tight ends.
I like Theo Johnson.
So I'm gonna go with my coordinator. I'm gonna give him his other dynamic receiver, and we'll wrap around, get that tight end in the next pick.
Malachi Corley is the pick.
Here?
Yep.
Okay.
Shouldn't be too far.
Wide receivers.
Do we have one more in the 3rd?
We have.
Yeah, pick 100.
We got pick 100.
This is where we look at our tight end.
There we go.
Oh, y'all checking to see if somebody.
Yeah, Gabriel Murphy played Corum. Pratt. Whoa, Pratt.
They not taking him at no.
What was that? That was weird.
They not taking him there. No way.
Pratt, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They not taking. They not taking him.
That was crazy.
No way. What's up, Steve? Murrow and Skeptical. I think this is y'all first time comment, so we definitely appreciate y'all joining in on the chat, and everybody else that's usually pull up. We definitely appreciate y'all tapping in.
Jeremiah Trotter, Brendan Rice. Yeah,
the question I've probably watched 15 hours on Johnny Wilson, maybe 20.
What are your thoughts?
Malachi Corley would have gone by now, by the way, in my personal opinion.
I agree.
All right, here we go.
And I do think Johnny Wilson can be converted. I think like a hybrid tight end.
That's what I was thinking.
It's been discussed with him.
You got Ertz in the building to kind of show the way, teach him how to live the tight end life, and then
what?
What's wrong?
I see Cooper Beebe still there. I'm like, what are you doing?
That's
bro?
impossible. Yeah. That's a starting guard right there.
I mean, I see Christian Jones there too, and I'm like kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, I kind of want to flex right now.
If you have somehow Cooper Beebe on the board, I think in camp he goes against the what's that dude we got from Kansas City. I think he beats him out. Cooper Beebe is that good.
All right, let's look at top available offense.
Tight ends or wide receivers?
Cedric Van Pran.
Can we do all offense?
No.
Okay.
I would have looked at Van Pran before, but Biotish, I really think this guy, him and Luvu, these guys we're going to have for the next. That we'll get them on second contracts. I think they're going to be big time performers.
So just scroll down. All.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a lot of jumps there.
I mean, I see some names I really like. Like, I'm just taking my OC hat off. I'm just seeing Javon Solomon there from an edge rushing perspective. I think you'd feel really good with him in this.
Oh, here goes my draft crush from our show a couple weeks ago.
Cedric Gray.
Yeah.
Muhammad Kamara is a guy I just wrote about too. This might be a little early for him, but man, this guy, people are really focused on him only being 6'1". Man, he's a terror. I think it was 16 sacks last year. Really love him out of Colorado State.
What was the list that had BB and all of those guys in it? What list was that? Was that the all list?
That was the all list.
Can we look at that real quick? I'm trying to see the difference between the guys that jumped off the board up there. So is this in order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scroll back to the top. I'm interested in that top.
Adam, I think you have to look at Javon Solomon, dude.
Adam,
you talking about the guy at Troy?
I know, man. I'm just saying he's so good.
Yeah. And again, you hearing the rumblings that we're going to see some 3-4 alignments out of Quinn. That's the kind of guy that you put at that outside linebacker spot. Or rush the passer. A little undersized, but yeah, I think you can do some really good. I think Hassan Reddick. When you think him, maybe not Hassan Reddick now, but when he came into the NFL, that's something that Solomon can be developed in a role.
And Joe Whitt talks about positionless defense, and I'm just saying, Solomon fits that bill.
Yeah.
All right, guys. DQ, feel from your coordinators and tell me where you want to go here.
I think we're looking at the Kansas State guys on the board right now. I think you're looking at BB. The fact that he's still on the board is crazy because, like I said, he's a starting caliber guard. We got skeptical talking about Van Pran, but I don't think you worry about that with Biotish right now. I think you're looking for more of that left guard. So, you're looking at BB right now. You're looking at tight end. I think you can wait in the tight end, maybe being stretched. I'm a little concerned because they don't have a 4th round pick to wait to the 5th round to get that tight end. But man, I think if you want to solidify that offensive line, I don't see how you can pass on Cooper Beebe right now. Cause like I said, he comes in and he can compete and start for you at left guard.
Do we think BB has starting potential in your offense, Kliff Kingsley, on Kingsbury on day one?
Oh, I'm not sure if he would start right away in beating Allegrati, but I will say this, that if Jordan Morgan doesn't pan out at left tackle, that he
Right.
could play a guard, and we do have that on our roster already. What my concern is here is that we lose out on the other tackle. Because we were going into this thinking that Jordan Morgan is going to be the left tackle, I don't feel comfortable with Andrew Wiley at right tackle. And
Yep.
I am concerned that if we do not take a right tackle here, that we're going to lose out on one available. You have like Blake Fisher there. You have my guy, Christian Jones, I talked about earlier. That I think if you draft right now, you don't have to think about that tackle position again for another 5 to 6 years. But that's just my personal opinion. And you can go with how you please, but that's just where I would go. But
I agree with Christian Jones.
I like Christian Jones. I think it's kind of rich right here.
Yeah.
But the only concern is that we're not going to be back.
Yeah, you don't have another fourth.
Right. If we had a fourth round, I think you could wait. But if talking about right now, because like I said, you got the kid from Kansas City for the left guard. But again, trust in Wiley. Lucas is more of your swing tackle. I'm with Kyle. I think Christian Jones here makes sense.
And I will say this: it pains me to say that because I love Cooper Beebe. He plays with the mean streak. Absolutely love it. But just because of what we have,
right. Agree.
Can he beat out Wiley and Cornelius right now?
Yes.
With no coaching, can he beat those guys out?
Who, Beebe or Christian Jones?
Christian Jones.
Christian Jones.
I think so, without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind.
DQ, what you think?
I don't know if he's going to beat him out yet, just basically on technique. You're talking about, savvy veterans, but I don't think it would take long. I think some hiccups with Wiley. I don't know if that's going to put him on the third on the depth chart. I think you have Cornelius Lucas as the backup left tackle. You take Christian Jones at this spot. I think you have him right behind Wiley, and he'll be playing, sooner rather than later.
Whitt, how are you feeling about this offensive laden draft? Where's your mind right now?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I watched the film on Washington last year. It was slight work. I do think, we're starting to get a little bit where, okay, the offensive talent is very rich around this part. So there's a lot of defensive guys. If you can scroll up real quick, I know we're kind of deep at defensive tackles, but I still kind of got some questions a little bit on the health of Fedarian Mathis.
Right.
And you got my guy Dwayne from Duke, just an explosive athlete, a guy that is going to wreak havoc. And you're talking about the defense that I had in Dallas. We were wreaking havoc on offensive lines, and that's guy I would consider. But right now, I see a lot of offensive guys right here. It's very rich. Let's help this offense out real quick.
Okay. All right. At y'all's recommendation, I'm going with Christian Jones at tackle at this spot.
Come on, y'all recommendation. No! This is your pick. Come on, y'all. No!
Hey, I still got to stand on it, but I'm letting them know that I'm trusting them. This how
these are only the first 3 rounds. In a couple weeks, when we come back closer to the draft, we're going to do a full 7 rounds with trades. From my observation of this draft, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to find a way to get back into the 4th round.
Agree.
I think they have 2 5ths and a 7th. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to use something from next year to try to get back into the 4th round.
Agree.
Along with trying to get back into the 1st too. So we might see a few moves from us, and maybe even trading, maybe pick 36 to move down a couple spots to try to pick up a 5th or something like that, depending on how the draft falls.
Yeah.
All right, so
Commish, I'm gonna tell you right now, my trade, if you're gonna trade back to that 4 or 5 spot, you're gonna pick up a 4th round pick in that.
Yeah.
You still gonna get your quarterback because we are 50-50 on that quarterback. There's no full consensus on the quarterback. And I think that to me gives us the best opportunity to enrich ourselves with assets that will then weaponize us to either go up, down, sideways, however we want to go, to get the specific players that we want to get.
Damn, to get Jaden Daniels a B-.
Yeah, and I think that, you're talking about you can't move back too far, and I really do think that Arizona is paranoid about losing out on Harrison, because I think, everyone just assumes that New England is going to take a quarterback. I think it's really 50-50 with either quarterback or taking Harrison, because I heard New England loves him. So I think that could be, a reason why Arizona trades up. So you're talking about it, if you're sold on May or Daniels, yeah, that's something to do, because you're talking about if you move from second to fourth, you probably get, from what the chart I looked at, I think you would get a second next year. You would get a second, a third this year, or potentially even a first instead of the second next year. So you'd get a decent amount for that. But yeah, I think it's risky business.
Yeah, I can't believe they. Well, I guess they seized because on their board, like I said, those last 2 picks were kind of rich on their board.
Yeah,
that's why they give it seized.
This one not so much. This is only 7 picks. I mean, 26 picks not that bad.
The reason why they put it as a C is probably because wide receiver is not listed as a need for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how they do. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it's pretty good draft here. We're about to get out of here, but I mean, you can kind of see how the draft played out, the conversations that we had, the questions that was asked. This is just minute. Like, this is small for what they're actually going to be doing in the war room.
Yeah.
And so, and all the conversations that's going to need to be had. This is where Whitt is going to have to make sure everyone is on one accord, even if it's not the pick that they want, to have the understanding of which way to go. But overall, I think it's a pretty good draft.
Just saying, kind of funny. Pick 2 defensive players, we got A-.
You're not lying, dude. You're not lying.
We definitely don't need that leaking out of Commander's part. But yeah, let's do final says on the on this draft. In the process and how it looks. We start with Adam.
Yeah, no, if you can walk away with this with the first 3 rounds, I think you're in good shape. But like I said, I think you substitute that Morgan and that cornerback pick, and those are the 2 picks you move up with to get probably one of the more dynamic tackles. But I think if you can get out of those first 3 rounds meeting those needs, I think that gives you a great jump start on this rebuild that they have going.
Adam,
he just went.
I'm sorry. I mean, Adam Peters.
Okay. No, I love the process. I love the process. I love the collaboration and the agreement. And I just don't feel like this is what we as an organization has done over the last 20 years, right? Bruce or whoever have been sitting in the office and decided, based on what they looked at on the board, this is what we need, and hadn't consulted with the football people in the room. So I'm really excited that if we can run a process like this and we come out with the type of players that we come out with, we will be a better football team the day after the draft than we were the day before we went in.
DT.
Yeah, overall solid draft. I don't really care about the C's. I felt like we drafted great players at these spots, but just overall, the biggest conversation is always we all love the draft, right? Every year we get ready for this process. We talk about these prospect stuff, but the half of the team building always starts with free agency. And you saw that Peters coming from the 49ers, they really have a formula of supplanting in free agency, of fixing some of the needs that we already had. And then now, obviously, quarterback is going to be addressed with number 2. But now you have an opportunity to just get some dogs in this room. Best player available. Guys that left tackle, some talented guys in this draft. And this is a perfect draft for Peters to cook, with the left tackle, wide receivers, and play other groups as well. Some veteran college players you see, like a Peyton Wilson, played a lot of college football, but, the injury concern, that could be a steal. Just development and just trusting the process of what Peters and Quinn are going to do in this draft.
Go ahead, Kyle.
For me, it's a dream. come true, because when you look at what the free agency has done in adding the depth, throwing spaghettis at the wall, you're kind of needing the foundational pieces of the young depth moving forward. And what you've done in this draft is you've added the quarterback piece, you've added the left tackle, you've added the right tackle, two positions that you kind of have a need for at the moment. But at the same time, you did not sacrifice anything on defense. You added that new piece on at linebacker. You added that new big 6'4" piece at corner that you could feel good with in this new defense that fits your structure, and also adding an explosive weapon to be able to kind of help replace Curtis Samuel. I think you're walking away in a dream scenario here. I do think that you could possibly do better at left tackle with more comfort, so to speak, but that would sacrifice a guy like Malachi Corley and what you would bring here. So I feel really good with that aspect. But if we were able to get the leader of the children of the corn and Malachi, then I think that we'd be really happy moving forward into day 2, day 3, day 4 of the draft. Day 4.
Yep, this was great. I definitely appreciate all of you for joining the little role
Hey,
play.
real quick, Gus
Yeah,
Bus said about the whole ranking being, it seemed like we know that second, and we picked him at 2, and it was still a B minus. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like we took the other dude with 20 picks right, and so we were just kind of wondering how that's a C and Jane Daniels isn't, was the question.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Right.
But hey, PFF, right? But we'll be able to make more settings adjustments when I sign in the next time. But definitely appreciate all of you for listening, for watching. We know your time is very valuable for you to spend it with us. We definitely appreciate it. All of the clips that you've seen from Cal and all of the clips and the writings that you've seen from Adam, how to get to those are all down in the description of the show on YouTube. That's where you can find how to find them, how to get to it, how to subscribe. Please do so. That's the only content that we use for this show is content that's produced from Cal and from Adam. So definitely give them a follow. Check out the readings. It's great content, great work. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.